Here you are, my lady.
Do you enjoy your pearls, my dear?
Yes, I do. Very much so. They make me look so much better in court. The ladies will be so jealous.
I'm glad, my dear. I admire my new rings as well. I am pleased that we are able to buy these. Our finances are very stable, since we have raised the taxes on our people. They are not complaining too much, and this shall be sufficient to support our needs and costs for now.
Very true, my dear. It is best not to anger the commoners too much.
Sire, there is a common man who lives in the town at the door who wishes to talk of taxes.
Send him away. We are busy, and tell him taxes are final and not to be discussed with the likes of him or whoever wishes to walk in here.
Yes, sire.
My lord, are you not worried you are going to anger that man?
It is nothing to worry about, my dear. Commoners are not to discuss taxes. They are to pay them and support me, their master. Anyway, what will the commoners do to me?
You are right, my dear. What shall they do? They are just commoners.
Without me, they are nothing. I own all they have, and I can take it all away. They will never have enough power to do anything about it.
We shall see, my lord. We shall see. This is it here.
Yes, my good sir.
Bonjour, madam. Is your husband about?
Yes, for what is he needed? He has done nothing wrong.
I am sorry, madam. This is not the case. We must see at this moment.
What is it, my good sir?
Lord Duval, you and your wife have been accused of high treason and crimes against the state, ordered to be arrested and sentenced to beheading by the guillotine.
There must be a mistake. I have done nothing wrong.
Have you not oppressed the common man? Taxed him as you wished? Have you not looked out for only yourself and not your fellow man? I find there are many wrongs done by you.
You and your wife proceed out of the house now, sir.
Oh my! Is there nothing we can do?
We will be free. You will see. You cannot do this to me. I own all this land.
The king is gone. The country is being born again. No one will save you.
I will stop you. You will see. I still have power.
Only in your eyes. All you have ever known is gone and done. Guilty of high treason and crimes against the state, Lord Duval will now be beheaded in vengeance of his wrongs against his fellow man.
I did not do anything wrong. I am innocent. What have I done? I was bothering no one. You filthy commoners are nothing without me. Goodbye, cruel world.
Take my life! I no longer wish to be in the grasp of murderers.
One more face of tyranny has been lifted from the earth. We are coming closer to our common man's republic. We shall no longer live in the control or fear of the lords and nobles. Hurrah!
This project is about the French nobility before and after the beginning of the French Revolution. The nobility consisted of kings, queens, lords, clergymen, and other title-bearing people of France. Nobility enjoyed many privileges and spared no costs, taxing the people they controlled as they wished, for many of the peasants rented land from the nobles and were forced to do as their landlords wished.
As the noble lived lavish lifestyles and bought whatever they wanted with the peasants' tax money, the peasants were left with meager means of income, and many lived in poverty, struggling to grow enough food to make enough money to feed their families, as well as pay all the taxes ordered by their lords and the king.
Aside from paying taxes to the lords, the peasants also had to give them a certain amount of the crops to the lords, and were also obligated to pay the same taxes and dues to the church.
Noble people, on the other hand, did not have to pay many of the taxes the peasants were subject to, and were also exempt from many of the assessments on food. The tax on the church were also not as steep, and the taxes to the government were covered by the taxes collected from the land-renting peasants.
Women at this time were treated even more unfairly than men of the lower class, as they had no civil or economic rights and were controlled almost completely by their fathers or husbands, following the traditional system of the country. For those women who were able to find employment, harsh working conditions and the fear of losing their job to a man was a constant threat.
Even for those who were considered middle class before the Revolution were treated very unfairly. They were subject to the same heavy taxes and many times under the strict control of a lord or other noble of a higher title. Unlike the peasants, though, the middle class was beginning to gain strength.
Still plagued by high taxes, the middle class was different from the peasants in that they had some access to education and culture for their children, and also saw increases in their income. They were also beginning to come in closer contact with the upper class or aristocracy, and were sometimes involved in inter-class marriages.
The aristocracy, or nobles, enjoyed much freedom and expensive living in the time before the Revolution. The high amount of taxes they collected funded their lavish living and spent much money in order to impress those who they associated with in the king's court.
The only duties being to advise the king and support him during times of war, the aristocracy enjoyed much freedom and used their power however they wished, with very little structure or rules to stop them.
After spending hundreds of years under the rule of the feudal lords of France, the lower and middle classes were beginning to become tired of the inequality.
The ever-increasing taxes, the constant demands from the lords, and the poor conditions in which they lived caused much tension between the lower classes and the nobility of France.
Coupled with the increasing popularity of Enlightenment ideas, the food scarcity, huge unemployment rates, and the resentment of the government and the country's debt, the lower and middle classes had had enough of the traditional style of France.
With the rising hatred of the government among the majority of the people, the French Revolution began with the storming and destruction of the Bastille, a huge fortress where kings and queens had imprisoned the people.
Citizen armies controlled many parts of France, and a committee of middle-class people governed Paris. The nobles were stripped off all privileges, and many of them were arrested for treason, crimes against the state, and crimes against humanity, and put to death by guillotine.
As the nobles were being hunted for and executed, many of them tried to hide their families or take up other identities to protect themselves. For many of them, it did not work. A famous example being King Louis XVI trying to escape to Austria and being caught miles from the border.
The people of France worked hard to rid the country of its many nobles and to set up a freeman's republic. 3 constitutions were drafted in the trials of forming a new system of government, and many lives were lost in the revolt.
The road to freedom for France was a long and bloody fight, but for the millions who had previously found themselves treated unfairly, it was worth it. With the 3rd draft of their constitution put in place with the help of a young man named Napoleon Bonaparte, the French thought they had found peace. History tells us they were not so lucky.